Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess from Handmade by Jess. Today we will be DIYing an 18-inch wood round that I got at Lowe's. I started off by sanding it with a 220 grit sandpaper with my palm sander. I made sure to get all of the little nicks out of it and get the edges really well as well, because you'll find if you purchase these wood rounds from Lowe's that the edging can be kind of rough at times. This one wasn't too bad, but it still needed to have a once over. Then I got my torch and I decided to just go ahead and torch the whole thing, front and back. Now you want to be very careful whenever you do this. You want to make sure that you pick a surface to lean it on or set it on as you're doing this that isn't going to catch fire. Be very, very careful. The wood gets hot. Don't get close to your fingers. It takes a lot of practice. I've been doing this for quite a while, and I found the more you do it, the more you get practice at it, and the more you'll know and get comfortable with the limits of the torch there. Now I'm just getting the edges really well, making sure to fill in all of those unfinished spaces and flipping it over, making sure I got every single inch of it torched. Now I'm taking Rust-Oleum's Golden Pecan Stain, just taking a cloth and rubbing it on there very thick. There are times that I do 2 coats of stain because I just love how the torched wood and the stain, it just brings this golden color to the wood there. It's gorgeous. And you want to leave it dry in between coats if you decide to do more than 1 coat. But I have found most times 1 healthy coat is good enough for it to go with your project. I'm going to stop here in a second and show you just the difference between the unfinished wood. There it is. The unfinished wood to the stained. It just brings it all new life with the golden pecan stain on there. I think it's gorgeous. And it pretty much goes with any color palette, any kind of style you decide to do. It'll go right along with that. Now, after letting my wood round sit overnight to dry, I wanted to make sure it was nice and good. I am putting some painter's tape. I'm going to add a black strip across the front of this to put my wording on. You'll notice if you purchase these wood rounds from Lowe's also that they are pieced together. And what I mean is they just take pieces of wood and you can actually see the lines where they are glued together, and then they have cut out the round shape. And you can kind of use those as a guide for your tape, or you can do like I'm doing here. I needed just a little bit bigger of a space, so I measured up from one of those lines where it was glued together, and I'm able to put my tape down and have my space there where I'm gonna go ahead and use my black paint. I'm using duct tape brand of painter's tape here. I really do think that brand is important. My favorite kind is the frog tape. It's green. They sell it at Walmart. They sell it at Lowe's. I've seen it several different places. I'm just double checking my work there to make sure I have my tape straight. And painter's tape, it does make a difference of the brand. When you're doing something like this, if you want nice crisp lines, I would definitely spend the money on a good quality tape so you don't have to go in and alter anything that you've done. Just seal it down really well, push it down really well there. I use Waverly chalk paint for most of the projects I do. This is the color ink. It's black. And I'm just going to take a brush there and just paint it across. Now, some people do go ahead and paint the sides. With this particular type of wood round. I like all of my imaging and my graphics and everything to be just strictly on the front of the wood round. So you'll notice that I do not paint the side edge. I just keep the paint there on the top edge. And the reason I torched and stained the back is because when I do my projects, I like the whole thing to be complete. That way, if somebody has a window on their door, or if they're hanging it somewhere where the back can be seen from the other side of the window, it still looks like a very nice piece. It looks finished, it looks professional. And even from the side here, what you'll see from the side is the bow that we're going to put on the top, but also the wood that has been torched and stained is cohesive all the way around. Now I went on my Cricut and I made a stencil that says, welcome-ish. It depends on who you are and how long you stay. Everyone seems to like that little quirky saying, and I made one for my sister-in-law, and I just had to make one for our front door too, or I can sell it or do whatever I want with it really. But there it is. There's the stencil. I went ahead and weeded out all of the wording. And the next step after that is to get some transfer tape and put that stencil onto the transfer tape. You want to stick it down, make sure it's nice and stuck together. Now the brand of transfer tape that I am using is this brand here. I bought this 50-foot roll from Amazon like 3 years ago, and I am still on this roll, and I'm telling you what, I will never buy this product again. Never. It is so sticky. I have had it tear my vinyl. I have had it screw so many projects up. It is just way too sticky. And I actually, with this particular piece of tape here that I'm using for my stencil in this project, I went around sticking it to every surface in my house that had any kind of fuzziness or fleece or, you know, anything like that. I crumpled it up and I just tried to unsticky it the best that I could so I am able to use it. Now, since I have been using this roll for 3 years, I am aware of how I need to use it. Now what I'm doing here is to better judge putting the stencil onto the round there. I am cutting off the bottom so that I can better line it up with my black strip there that we painted. Make sure it's straight, make sure it's not going to, because once you start to stick that down with this type of vinyl, it's stuck. You're going to be stuck with wherever you put it unless you want to start all over again. I try not to start all over again. I try to get it right the first time, but it just takes a little bit of practice. And just checking my placement here, making sure that everything looks good. Then what you need to do is stick down the vinyl, rub it in really well, and then start to peel that transfer tape off there. I'm even using my ruler here to make sure that it's kind of centered where I want it to be. It's always good to double check your work before you go ahead and commit. And you'll see the struggle I have when I'm trying to pull this transfer tape off of this vinyl. It's just crazy how sticky it is after I went ahead and stuck it to every surface in my house, I swear. I put a piece of painter's tape down on my vinyl even to kind of help me hold it still. But you'll see as I'm going through there, I'm just pulling the tape and pushing everything down, pulling the tape and pushing everything down, and pulling it and pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling, pushing. I've gotten so used to this, it's just... Sometimes you got to work with what you got. You know, with the way things are, you have to use what you have. I spent money on this roll. I'm going to finish it before I buy any more. I will be wary, though, next time I buy some. I'll look at the reviews, which actually I was shocked. This transfer tape has a lot of good reviews. But regardless, this is where we're at, and I'm just gonna go through here and make sure everything's stuck down really well. And I see, if you look off to the side there on the plate, I have a roller sponge that I'll be using to apply the paint. I have found that on this type of surface, with this type of stencil, the best thing to use is a small foam roller brush. I got that at Lowe's for, I don't know, it's a trim and edge set. And it came with its own little paint tray and everything. It was like $3.50. I know it was less than $4 for that little roller. And I'm still on the first sponge that was in the pack there. If you wash it out after every use, it'll last a long time. Now I finally got that transfer tape off there. We're going to go ahead and smooth everything down. Make sure everything is stuck down really well. Go ahead and outline the edges with tape, so that we don't get any white anywhere on the other parts of the wood round there. Waverly again, white chalk paint, that's what I use on top of the black there. It makes it really stand out well. And when you first start to put the paint on the little foam roller brush there, it's like a memory foam. You want to make sure you saturate it really well. Make sure it's evenly coated on there. The last thing you want to do is apply too much pressure when you're rolling across your stencil and have it bleed up under your stencil. Even though, you know, this is like a sticker vinyl, it can still bleed if you push too hard. So I'm just applying light, even pressure and just going across the whole thing there. Gonna make sure I get everything really well. And if you saturate your roller enough, you'll be able to pretty much coat everything once, maybe dip it again. I bring out my heating tool in between coats. Now I use, to seal this up, the polyacrylic Minwax water-based clear matte stain. I use my little Mod Podge brush to apply this. That's the best brush that I have found that does not leave brush strokes or anything. It's perfect for this type of project to seal it. You want to seal after you do all of these steps. Now, we've sanded, we've torched, we've stained, we've painted, we've stenciled. Now we're going to seal it up really well. Make sure you get the edges really, really well. This wood still at this point will absorb any amount of liquid that you put on there. Get the back really well. I do 2 coats of this, and I like the clear matte because I like a matte finish on my projects. I really don't care for a shiny gloss. So next part is to put on a hanger. We need to put a hanger on the back. Normally my preference is to use D-hooks. I did not have any of those. So I have this wire jute from the Dollar Tree actually. I'm just measuring out a section of the wire jute there to kind of see how much I need. I'm using my wire cutters to cut it off. And then I'm going to twist tie like little knots at the ends, because I will be stapling this wire jute onto the back for the hanger. And I don't want it to slip, because these 18-inch wood rounds do have a good bit of weight to them. You want something that's sturdy. That's why I went with the wire jute instead of just regular old jute twine. You want to have some kind of substance there for your hanger. Now that I've got my knots in there, I've twisted it up to make it a little bit stronger. I'm just going to take my staple gun there and make sure that I got it straight however I want it. Kind of eyeball there. I don't want the hanger to hang out over the top, so we're going to push it down just a bit there so it hangs from the top but not over the top. Put a couple staples in each side above the knot that we made. And that's pretty much good to go for the hanger. That's really all you need. No hot glue, unless you want to take a little bit of hot glue there to make sure, it doesn't, if you have any parts of wire that are sticking out that might scratch a window or something like that, you could do that if you wanted. But that is more than sufficient to hold the weight of this wood round. Now, the next step, we're going to make a messy bow. I went through my stash and I've got a couple different ribbons out here. I love sunflowers. And a lot of people do. So I'm going to go ahead and I've even picked out a couple different things. I've got some greenery, some flowers, some different things. I wasn't 100% sure exactly how I was going to do this. I've got a ruler to measure. I'm going to measure the thicker ribbon out at, I think it was 10 inches. Because I like to have various sizes too when I make a messy bow as I layer it up. It seems like the thicker ribbon needs to be a little longer. The thinner ribbon is a little shorter. I've even got some raffia there that I'm going to stick into the middle of it. I think that's just so pretty with a messy bow on top of a project. I think it's gorgeous. It's so farmhouse. It's my favorite. Now we're just going to go through here, and I believe I'm cutting these ones out at 8 inches, and then the thinnest ones I think will be 6. I love this webbing. I got this at Dollar Tree. They have 3 different colors of this webbing ribbon. It's so pretty. Most of these ribbons are from the Dollar Tree. I buy a lot of ribbon from there. It comes in a lot of use when making bows like this particular type that are just messy. You just throw them together and they look gorgeous. Now that I've got all of the ribbon cut to all of the lengths that I want, I'm going to go ahead and dovetail the ends. All you have to do is fold them together and cut a V shape, just a diagonal line if you've actually folded it. I'm going to take a section of the raffia there. It can be a little unruly. I find if you squeeze it and twist it around, you can manipulate it to, straighten out for you. Now comes the fun part. All you have to do is just layer all of your layers. I go fattest ribbon on the bottom and the skinniest ribbon to the top there. That also, accounts for the sizes that we cut them. It makes everything visible as you're making this type of bow. I kind of changed my mind there. I kind of liked how I layered one buffalo check, one sunflower, one buffalo check, one sunflower. That's the best thing about making a messy bow is there's no rules. There's no guidelines. You just pretty much put it together however it looks good to you. And it looks pretty in the end. Everything works out and it looks pretty. And during the process of this, I will, kind of pinch it in the middle, make sure everything is even. I had to adjust that white burlap there a little bit because it was kind of off center. You just kind of check it as you go and just keep layering up and keep putting it all together. And it just all comes together in the end and looks very pretty. I will use a clear or white, can't remember, zip tie to keep all of this together. We'll be pulling that out here in a moment. I decided last minute that I wanted that white webbing ribbon to go on the top there. I thought that would look really pretty across the top because it's almost transparent, but it adds that factor that I love that ribbon so much. So I'm gonna get everything together, and then I'm gonna get my zip tie out. I decided actually not to use my half wood beads or my flowers. I only used the greenery along with the bow, and I think it turned out really nice. There's the zip tie. I'm gonna start by sticking it under the bow and getting it started. You want to make sure you get it started before you flip it over. Pinch the middle. There you go. Pinch the middle and then turn it over and pull it around so that the clasp of the zip tie will be in the back of the bow and not in the front where it can be seen. Take your wire cutters or even a pair of scissors. You can just cut off the excess zip tie there. Fluff it out, you know, mess it up, make it look real pretty. Just get everything together. And then I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to use for the middle, but I thought it would be really cute to use those little paper sunflowers from the Dollar Tree there. I thought that would be a nice, perfect middle piece to this bow. And they actually have a little tiny piece of wire on them. So I was able to put the flower on the front, wrap the wire around, and come up and around that clasp of the zip tie that I had put back there. And this is the only part where you're going to need any hot glue in this whole project. I absolutely love projects like this. Just a little dab under the flower to keep it in place. And then I went around back of the bow and I secured where the wire was touching the zip tie clasp, just to make sure it didn't slide around or come undone there. I love projects like this with no hot glue. My front door gets pounded with sunlight, so if I were to hang this on my front door and it was, you know, all put together with hot glue, then everything would fall apart because the sun would just melt it. But there we have it. There's our messy bow. Okay, now the last part is attaching the bow. I'm just going to staple that baby on there. I'm gonna position it, see where I like it. I decided to use this eucalyptus. I got it at the Dollar Tree. It's actually very pretty. You can actually score some really, really nice florals from the Dollar Tree from time to time. You just got to keep your eye out. Some of their stuff is kind of cheap looking, but there are times when they have very, very nice florals and greenery at their store. Now I'm just kind of playing around with how I want to put the greenery onto and around the bow there. I decide to go ahead and staple down the main stems of the greenery first. Just like everything else in the bow there, we want to go by layers. We want to layer everything up. So there's where I want to put my bow, put my greenery down, and I just take a staple and staple that greenery right in there. And if you guys notice that black mark that's on my one fingernail, I smashed my finger in my closet door like 3 months ago. And that black mark, it's like a bruise or whatever, is under my fingernail. And it has still not grown out of my fingernail. It's driving me nuts. Just in case you wonder what that was, that's what it is. Okay, getting another stem of greenery here. I'm just going to finish up. I'm going to go ahead and staple that on there. And then we'll get to stapling the bow on after this piece here. The other little side pieces of greenery we can do on their own. I just wanted to make sure that the bow was secure after we got the main stems of greenery put on there with it. Here we are. I'm going down to the very bottom. The very first layer of ribbon that we had put down for the bow is what I'm actually going to staple to the wood round there. There it is. Just 1 or 2 staples would be fine, just enough to hold it in place. It's not gonna go anywhere. Then you want to flip it over and do the other side. Go down to that last layer and staple it on down. I had thought about making an interchangeable bow where you can have a magnet and, you know, through the seasons go ahead and change it out. But I think really this type of bow, even though it has a sunflower on it, I think it would be good for all year round. People kind of associate sunflowers with summer or fall. But I have them in my house. I decorate with them throughout my house all year long, so they would go with my normal decor. Here we go. We're just putting a couple more pieces of greenery there onto the sides, and that is pretty much it. It's finished. Your project is complete. Just fluff out your bow, get it the way you like it, and then we'll go hang it up on the front door and see how it looks. There it is on the front door. I think this project turned out really, really nice. I really hope you give it a try. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments below. I'll try to answer anything I can. There it is. I would appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to my channel. Hit that bell for notifications so that you'll be notified whenever I upload another video. Thank you. Have a great day.